Hi, my name's James, and I have a number of family I take care of. And he has schizophrenia, about 40 years diagnosed. The life expectancy of the literature is 65. And what can I do to make sure I can make sure that the issues that may occur would not occur? And what things I can do to limit that would occur to benefit his health in a way that's progressive and we have a longer life.
Could you repeat the question? Because we aren't able to hear it all.
Is that microphone turned on?
Well, let me try, and you correct me if I don't paraphrase it correctly. This gentleman referred to one of his family members who's had a schizophrenia for many years. He's now a little younger than I am, and he has a family concern about what can he do to optimize this person's life expectancy and enjoyment for life for the remaining years.
Yes.
Is that fair enough?
What they say a lot of the medications he's had over the years will cause a lot of damage in his health, and I've noticed, I think that's probably what has been occurring, and it is occurring, may actually be occurring now. And I'd like to minimize that without reducing medications to a certain level that affects his psychosis and things, but yet doesn't help his health decline. So it's a really difficult balancing act. And I'm trying to figure out what do I do to make sure that I can do that well.
Right. That's a great question. It's a great question. There's a group in Wisconsin that runs a program sponsored by Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. It's the help me, Mark, county. There's a group in Wisconsin that ranks the health of counties around the country. And they've also kind of posted on their website, and I apologize, I can't remember the exact name of the group, the County Health Roadmap Group or something along those lines, just kind of breaking down what kind of big chunk areas cause problems with life expectancy or not being able to fully enjoy life along the way if you have in the general population. I do think a lot of what they're finding is relevant to people with schizophrenia and mental illnesses, other than schizophrenia as well. And they kind of break it down this way. Let me say that about 20% of the problem is access to medical services and high-quality medical services. So working to get people into good care, to screen for medical conditions, to then treat medical conditions is really important. About 30% involves health risk behaviors, the decisions that we each make every day that may not necessarily be in our best interest. So it's things like, do you smoke cigarettes? Do you like to go to 7-Eleven and get the big gulp of sugar water if you might have diabetes or be gaining weight? Other nutritional choices, alcohol, and working to modify or address health risk behaviors when it comes to morbidity and mortality stuff matters, it appears, as much as getting that care from the medical community. So for that group, one of the things we're working on at CSTS, we had an opportunity to have a grant from SAMHSA, the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, that just ended. We had it for about 4 years. And gave us an opportunity to try to roll in some health risk modifying activities into our agency. So we've been, trying to do groups that involve peers in groups, nurses in groups, working on smoking cessation, nutrition, exercise, all framed in a way that the goal is not to frame it in a way of you must do. So instead of doing 2 or doing 4, the goal is to kind of do with and get people to activate. So the goal is to kind of motivate, to engage people around some of these activities. Yeah, so for us, it's been food, tobacco, exercise. We have peers that go out to grocery stores with people to read labels, to try to get a sense for how do we make different kinds of choices. But it kind of needs to start with the person kind of wanting to do that. So health risk behaviors are really important. Another aspect of it, 40% are what they would call social determinants of health. And some of the things that factor out is we all need housing. We all need optimally stable housing. We need an environment that is clean. We need some kind of resources so that we have, a little bit of income does help, however that comes about. And then we need people. We're people, and people need people. So that social cohesion piece. So they broke it down, 40% social determinants like the housing and the income and social relatedness. 30% health risk behaviors. 20% getting in to see high quality medical providers. It's really the expectation, not the exception, that people with schizophrenia or bipolar disorder, recurrent major depression, have co-occurring medical conditions. And they all have their own natural history that you don't want to happen. Like if you have diabetes, you want to try to catch it early. You want to stay on top of it. Because if you don't, some of the organs in your body can get damaged, potentially permanently. So it all kind of rolls in together in that regard. Other stuff.
Yeah, well, I endorse everything that's said, and I would like to underscore a couple of things. First of all, to the extent that you do find perhaps medical problems are occurring, improving those will also improve, at least theoretically, the management of the psychiatric illness, and vice versa. The medical and the psychiatric illnesses interact with each other, so that whichever one you've got, if you've got them both, whichever one is primary is going to make the other one worse, and it works in both directions. So, if the person's diabetic and they're having more depression, treat the diabetes. It's good for their medical condition. It's also good for their depression. And treat their depression, and it's good for their diabetes. And not only because depressed people sometimes don't behave well in taking care of themselves, but from a biological point of view, treating each one seems to help the other. The other thing I would say, which may be a little counterintuitive, but I'm getting to an age where I think about this for myself. I believe that the quality of life is more important than the quantity. Don't make your brother absolutely miserable trying to get him to do all the things that you know he should do. Stop smoking. Stop bugging me. I won't stop smoking. Nobody would ever endorse telling someone to keep smoking. But be realistic. Be realistic about what can be expected. If he's on antipsychotic medications, they're going to make weight control hard. Someone's 40 pounds overweight, maybe he can only lose 15 pounds, but that's progress. And, to make him lose 40 pounds might make him so miserable that he can't do anything else. His smoking goes up from a pack a day to 2.5 packs a day. You just have to be very realistic about this. And as I say, there's a certain equation here, and quality and quantity of life can sometimes, they're kind of like this sometimes, and you gotta know that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, recovery is all about what? Striving for your hopes, dreams, and ambitions with whatever comes at you. And if there's some quality that if you want to, you can pick any activity that is particularly enjoyable. There's often a trade-off off with that.
You can only eat so much rabbit food in any 1 week.
That's right, and I can only switch to decaf for so long.